K2's effect is not just about, being past life wisdom and knowledge. And, this is an area of life that you have experience in. You've been there, done that. You pretty much tired from it. You're bored. You want to move on. That's not what K2 indicates. You feel me? Uh, K2 is showcasing that whatever is placed, this particular area of life, there is a need to burn or detach, to obliterate, to destroy some cycle that has become too deeply ingrained within a psyche and within a personality. Some cycle, some karma, you feel me, some fluctuation is something that's too deep, you know what I'm saying, on an unconscious level even, you feel me? Um and K2 is going to bring, experiences that pretty much forces the individual to detach, to burn, to let go. And it only does so with the purpose to free you from being caught up in this cycle or from being caught up in this loop. That's why K2 is the karaka of moksha, right? So, yeah. So, shit, nigga just had a massive brain for. Okay, K2 conjunctions, right? So, or first the signs. You feel me? K2's functionality, right? Sagittarius, Scorpio, Pisces are generally seen as the most, benefic or beneficial signs for K2 to be placed in. Why is that? Because K2 is the karaka of moksha, cleaning the karma, and release, detaching, letting go. You feel me? Renouncing the ego, all of that. And when it comes to the Jupiterian signs, especially Sagittarius and Pisces, that's pretty much that's an open lane. You feel me? That's a green light. You feel me? They have the same agenda, they have the same, you feel me, goal, the lineups. You know what I'm saying? All that and whatnot. Jupiter itself is pretty much a sacrificial planet, and it understands in order to receive, to truly receive that which is beneficial, or that which is eternal, that which is lasting, that which is truly satisfying. You have to let go. You have to renounce. You can't be too attached or too caught up within certain cycles of the mind or whatnot, right? So yeah, that's why K2 gets a green light in Sagittarius and Pisces. And Scorpio, you know, uh, I would honestly say the exaltation would, I really would say Pisces, but it's not traditionally thought to be Pisces, right? It's traditionally thought to be either between Sagittarius or Scorpio. But if I had to choose either one of the two, I would give it to Sagittarius. Now, Scorpio is a powerful effect for K2 as well, because is K2 is like fire. Scorpio is like a burning water. So you know, again, this is going to lead to evaporation in itself when these two forces collide. You feel me? And this is evaporation of the impurity, the evaporation of the quote unquote negative, for lack of a better word, the negative karmas that are stored within the individual's mind, the psyche. You know what I'm saying? The patterns. K2 is going to force the individual to intensely, or to arrive to the point to where they are able to denounce and make the phoenix rebirth from the ashes type transformation or whatnot, right? So K2 is very strong, very powerful in Scorpio, you know what I'm saying? But the process might be a bit easier in Sagittarius than Scorpio. K2 conjunctions, right? So let's say K2 and Venus. With any planetary conjunction, it's not always, this planet is going to beat this planet. You know what I'm saying? If you want to call it like a war or a fight, you gotta think like, where's the fight taking place? What type of fighter is this person? Is this a firefighter, or is this fighter better in water, or is this fighter better, in high ground. It's many different themes. Who's watching the fight, who's able to assist the fight. What other energies are influencing the fight. When it comes to conjunctions, there's many things in the mix that will determine, what planet is stronger, what planet is weaker. What planet is at an advantage, what planet is at a disadvantage, and how the fight will go, and all that. So K2 and Venus generally, um, they somewhat have like an opposing force to each other. You have like an aesthetic. You have somebody who's trying to detach from the material world on the one hand, and then on the other hand, you have somebody who's deeply attached. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to beautify and trying to reinforce the livelihood within the material world, right? K2 and Venus. So, but it's not always a bad conjunction, or it's not always a serious war. Uh, on the one hand, on a better hand, I would say, when both grahas are strong, they can be placed in Pisces. You feel me? And this can give a person a lot of desire. This can give a person a Venusian capacity for that type of expression, beauty, uh, artistry, all the different themes of Venus, and be very much so, I guess you could say, invested or interested within these things. But they also have a strong K2, so this will also, you know, convey a certain timeless truth to that Venus. Truth being that, maybe all of these different ideas or desires in the mind for a partner or whatever the fuck Venus is looking for ultimately will not lead to true satisfaction, and that maybe spiritual path or maybe something of a more divine origin would be a thing to seek. So K2 and Venus in Pisces could signify somebody that, although they can be a highly Venusian sexually charged being, they can also, on the physical or in truth or in reality, have an air of abstinence to them, or monogamy to them, or seeking unions and relationships that, you know, have more truthful elements to them, not just something that's superficial. It would have to be this way with K2 and Venus and Pisces. But, one of the lessons that K2 would teach Venus and Pisces, because K2 is still going to burn Venus, it will often signal or showcase some horrible heartbreak or detachment from a relationship experience. But it's a great combination uh altogether, especially for the spiritual aspect of the life and whatnot, shaktis and things of that nature. But on the other hand, K2 and Venus conjunct in Taurus, right? Venus is stronger, K2 is weak in Taurus. So I've seen charts, multiple charts, and not to say this is going to be the same or this is going to be the truth for every person who has this particular conjunction in Taurus, but I've seen charts to where individuals overly attached, addicted to some type of substance or content or whatever, you feel me? Addicted to the partner. The partner can just be the most ancient of individuals, most domineering, whatever the fuck. They don't care. You feel me? They want what they want. They stuck on what they stuck on, and they give into their senses every time, and it burns them. And it'll take a longer time for K2 to try to convey the spiritual lesson to Venus, but with Venus being strongly situated in Taurus, it being content within its particular position, uh, it'll take a lot of fiery experiences, a lot of getting burned, in order for this person to learn the lesson or decrease the desires, at least, right? So that's K2 and Venus conjunction. I'm gonna do one more and I'm gonna end this video. Let's see. Moon and K2, right? So Moon, Moon and K2, and let's see, Scorpio. Mike Tyson has this position. K2 is stronger. Moon is weaker. So This is a person who's definitely going to have to deal with a good deal, a good fucking deal of a crazy deal at least of my fault. I'm at motherfucking working shit, niggas in the background and shit. But yeah, this is a person who's gonna have to deal with a great deal of instability, emotional instability, being put on the threshold to where you feel me. There are situations that are so vulnerable and volatile. It's like the survival of the person is constantly in question. But K2 being strong here, it will be a push towards accepting the reality as it is. There also is some innate spiritual, perceptions or shaktis that are possible for this individual to be able to tap into, with this K2 being strongly positive and whatnot. And it is also an innate ability for the intelligence to usurp or to grab hold to certain types of powers or certain types of weapons that can better assist it or keep it protected and safe within its reality. So K2 can bring some power to the person to alleviate the debilitation of the moon. So I ain't even gonna lie, in a way, it's like the moon being weak within this house or being unable to function within the affairs of this house, but you have a strong man, K2, that's in this house as well. So the moon is actually supported by K2. You feel me? The person can actually be pushed to go beyond the vulnerabilities and the aspects of the mind to make the mind even stronger in a way. Uh, you know what I'm saying? And Mike Tyson, for example, you know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson, he is a person who admit like he dealt with a lot of fear, even though he was a bully. You know what I'm saying? Was a damn near demon. You feel me? One of the best fighters on the motherfucking planet. You feel me? Hella muscled up. All this money, all this power, and whatnot, all this attainment, but still dealt with a lot of insecurities, a lot of anxiety. You feel me? Within his person, without a lot of dark thoughts, a lot of you know, even taboo attachments and prison scorpionic scenarios and things of that shit. Not to mention he was a part of Hollywood, so who knows? You feel me? The true depths of the darkness or the true depths of the demonicism that he's seen throughout his career and whatnot, right? So that's Moon and Ketu and Scorpio. But we can bring it to the opposite. I'm not gonna do Taurus. I already did Venus and Taurus. We can bring it to, let's say, Moon and K2. I'll do Libra because I know somebody with this position. K2 is weaker. Moon is better posited within this particular sign. This might not be too good. Uh, it can be good on the one hand in making a person uh giving a person a level of attraction, natural attraction, because moon is in Libra. Wherever the moon sits, it naturally attains that particular quality of that house and sign. You feel me? Without effort, moon is like a queen or like like royalty. It naturally gets, you feel me, where it's at without having to work. And K2 is showcases that past life mastery as well. But moon and K2 in Libra, it can show a person that's fairly addicted a bit too much to the Venusian concepts of life. Maybe relationships, maybe some type of drug, maybe some type of material enjoyment, you know what I'm saying? And K- this is the thing, K2 will be trying to break the pattern by throwing harsh experiences and harsh tribulations, but the moon is also a planet of comfort. Wherever the moon sits, that's where a person, you feel me, that's pretty much the home. That's pretty much the house. That's pretty much, you feel me, where a person wants to be. I'm not trying to go outside. You know what I'm saying? This is my abode. I like it here. So the moon K2 energy in itself, it can be quite problematic. You know what I'm saying? Just alone, like never mind the house, never mind the sign. Like moon and K2, it can make somebody a dope fiend, or it can make somebody seem quite crazy, or you feel me, quite out the way, or whatever you want to call it, discombobulated mindset or whatever you want to call it, right? So this energy alone could be problematic, but on the other hand, it can make a person strongly intuitive, spiritual, and have a strong understanding of the concepts or the space or the, you feel me, the mechanism of the mind and how to go beyond it or how to destroy it, how to close it off, you feel me, and go to the soul or self-realization, whatever you want to call it. Ramana Maharishi, he had a moon and Ketu conjunction in Gemini.